in this video, we're not going to go over charts. We're not going to screen share. We're not going to do the normal format. I kind of just want to have a candid conversation because everything I see on the timelines, in YouTube comments, I mean, the sentiment is really bad at this point in time, and a lot of people are thinking that they should just leave crypto all in all. I've seen so many people saying crypto is just this ultimate scam, which is really not the case. However, we have seen so many red flags and flaws in the space. I think there's so many different reasons for you not to leave the cryptocurrency industry and continue placing strategic bets into the right projects. In this video, I'm going to go over, is the bull run over? Should you leave crypto? How to survive long term? Because I think that is the most important thing. Everyone wants to get rich in crypto. That is why most people are here, right? But at the end of the day, it's not going to happen in a day. It's not going to happen in a week. And we really have to expand our timeline given what happened so far over this Q4. So let's just jump into it. First and foremost, guys, if you enjoy the content here on the channel, like the video and subscribe down below. It does help us get in front of a ton of crypto bulls just like yourself who could use this type of content. And of course, a big shout out to our sponsors here on In the Game today. I just want to give a big shout to Blowfin. Blowfin, by far the #1 centralized exchange for traders, especially in the USA. I live in the US, and it's really hard to find a place to trade perps, for example, that doesn't require me to submit my government information, where I live, and then they say I live in the US and I can't participate. Blowfin, you can literally participate in any jurisdiction. Check out the link down below. I believe they're giving out about $1,000 or $10,000, pardon me, in sign up rewards. So check that out down below in the description. Let's just go ahead and jump right into it, guys. Should you be leaving crypto? I understand it's been probably the hardest time period I can even recall. Like seriously, as someone who's been investing in crypto since 2017, as someone who's been full-time crypto since 2020, and you know, I do 3-4 videos a week here on the channel consistently for that time period across, originally here on this channel before I joined Crypto Banter, I was doing it every day. When I joined Banter, it was 3-4 times a week. That's currently still the status here on In the Game. And I haven't seen this much negativity. I haven't seen this low of sentiment, this much fear in the market, and really this much anger at the market than ever before, even at Celsius, Luna, FTX. None of those trumped what we've seen, and I don't want to say that word right now because a lot of people have a sour taste because they feel like Trump's to do with the market manipulation, but regardless, none of that trumps what we're seeing right now. Like, this market sentiment, the fact that the market dumped as it did when Bitcoin was at 126 and we didn't have any sort of resemblance of any alt season, right? And if you look back the last 2 calendar years, Q4 of 24 was super bullish. Q4 of 23 was super bullish. So I understand people are a little upset and they're kind of thinking this is not going to happen this time around. And look, I think first and foremost, has the cycle top for Bitcoin been put in? I really don't think so. BlackRock, all the Fidelity, all these people, all these institutions and financial, platforms that have introduced Bitcoin to their clients, they introduced it at a set price, right? Whenever they got in, I don't think that BlackRock's going to want it to fall under those levels, right? And you could consider that positive market manipulation. But on top of that, the fact that Trump says he wants Bitcoin, the USA, to be a leader in crypto and Bitcoin in the entire world. We have the government reopening, which should mean more ETFs being pushed. We see a Sol ETF just went live recently. We're seeing pushes for some Avalanche ETFs, Dogecoin ETFs are in the work, and really just pushing more into the Bitcoin space as well. I think that more companies are still continuing, under the table a little bit now to still accumulate a ton of Bitcoin. Bitcoin is digital gold. And while if you want to consider cycles on just a 4-year basis, as we have in the past, then yeah, the cycle tops in, because I think we will see a higher price point than 126K sometime during the year of 2026. That's just my personal opinion because of factors we hadn't seen in the 4-year cycle. Yes, the 4-year cycle works on a time period, 4 years, but there were constrictions in the, or, constraints in the market that really held it back, like the government shutdown, like, the lack of inflation or money printing at that time. We just started getting rate cuts. And in previous cycles, these weren't factors at play at that point in time. But with the Trump stimulus check coming up this summer, and just really, I think, more clarity in the markets and more push on the cryptocurrency side from legislations, jurisdiction-wise, etc., I think 2026 can actually end up being a very good year and not necessarily sending us into a bear market. I just think we got hit with a few things this cycle and this Q4 that derailed the Bitcoin, super cycle, as they were calling it. But what about altcoins? I know a lot of you on the channel, crypto Twitter especially, a lot of people talk about Bitcoin, but they don't care about Bitcoin, nor do they invest in Bitcoin. Because for the average person, you look at the price point, you say, I can't get rich by putting $100 into Bitcoin, but I could sure hit 100x on $100 with altcoins. And what we've seen this cycle, I think, unfortunately, based on what we saw in 2021, there was maybe 5% of the amount of tokens in the space. And also VC money really is so rampant now, and they're just dumping coins relentlessly. Teams and foundations, the foundations behind all of your favorite projects are usually dumping coins behind the scenes to fund their lifestyle, to keep the ship afloat, whatever the case is. So I just feel like times have changed. Dilution in altcoins, digital asset treasuries, while they sounded so bullish, like DATs, they're selling now. They got themselves way in over their head. So the sell pressure on certain alts is just absolutely ridiculous. Not to mention there's a million alts in the market. Maybe only 25 to 50 are like worth your time, investment, etc. But unfortunately, it's just really hard to pick through which one of those is going to survive. So will we ever see an alt season like 2021 ever again? I would say no. Could we see something like the end of 2024? Absolutely we can. And I think that's more what we have to expect whenever we eventually do see a new Bitcoin top. And of course, whenever we do see altcoins go on some sort of a run, I think you have to have winners in certain narratives, and you really have to break down your conviction, right? For me, if you've been watching the videos, I want revenue generating buyback plays that are here, transparent, showing us what's going on behind the scenes. And not only that, but they're in hot narrative. Stuff like Hyperliquid, ASTER has been really well performing even during this market dump. Hyperliquid's at like 30 right now. I think that's a great DCA. We see Tau under 300. I think it's like 301 right now as I'm recording this. So there's a few projects out there that I think are 100% worth your time. But at this point, like, I'm getting to the point in the cycle and the point in crypto where I'm probably going to trim down my alts to less than 10, like including Bitcoin. Like I should probably cut out most of the fat in my portfolio and just roll with a smaller stack. And that's what leads me into less is more, I think, with altcoins right now. And yes, is it going to feel bad maybe selling off something that's been down to go into a hype or a Tau? Yes, you never want to sell losers, okay? That sucks, right? And you don't want to take that realized loss. It doesn't feel so bad until it's realized. But you can make up those percentages so much easier in strong coins rather than continuing to rely on these crap tokens that are selling behind the scenes, that have VC sell pressure, that have no community left. They've burned everyone. Like, that's the type of stuff you don't want to invest in this market. And even if it feels painful, I can guarantee you if you shift into stronger, faster horses, even at this stage of the market, you will make your money back so much faster than relying on some of these crap tokens to 5, 10, 20x just to get back to your entries. So that's something, less is more when it comes to altcoins, especially because there are less quality coins in the market now than ever before. And what should be your strategy to make it out of this long term? Like, it sucks. And even myself, I find myself scrambling, looking at my coins, looking at my long-term portfolio. Should I change something? For me, no. But I've been sticking to the same strategy for years, right? I DCA Bitcoin every day. You find an amount that's comfortable for you, weekly, monthly. Buy Bitcoin. Like, number one, buy Bitcoin, please. It is the kingmaker of the market. Everything else relies on Bitcoin. at the end of the day. And I think that Bitcoin is the only thing in the market that is guaranteed to be here in 20, 50 years, whatever the case is. And it literally is the one thing that can actually retire your family. Like everyone always says, oh, generational retire your bloodlines with meme coins. That's not the case, okay? The one thing that can retire your bloodline is if somehow, some way, over the course of time, you accumulate Bitcoin to the point where Bitcoin's at $500 to $1 million, and you're like, holy crap, like, I just paid for my kids' college, I paid off my house, I'm debt-free. There are wins that you need to take at certain times, and Bitcoin's the one thing that can enable that, I think, over the course of time, almost in a guaranteed fashion, right? Like Bitcoin, I think, is due to appreciate over the next 5 to 10 years to a level where you can do these types of things with Bitcoin. So for me, DCA Bitcoin, have a risk stack. So like, use 70% of your capital to get into Bitcoin and just build a position. I would say you're going to feel so much better about it. I can promise you, especially we're 50% now, or it's now a 50% gain if we go back from 80K to 126K. So imagine all the money you stack into Bitcoin over DCAing every day. And then in the course of a couple months, you could literally be up 50% on that very easily. And it's just like placing money into the stock market at that point in time. So buy Bitcoin, but have a risk on stack. Buy the stuff like 𝗨, Hyperliquid, ASTER, whatever the case is, revenue generators that are here and showing you the numbers, okay? Because what we've seen this cycle is maximum grift. Projects that come in, raise money, and fold. I've seen projects this cycle that raise $30 million, and as soon as the coin goes live, like, you can't even get a hold of the team. The Discord's losing their mind. The chart only goes down. Well, what do you think they're doing? They're selling coins behind the scene to get lobster dinners. Like, that's what's happening in this market right now for all these VC-funded grift style projects. So stick to the transparent projects. That's my opinion at this point in the market. I'm just really fed up with the way that crypto acts outside of the elite projects. So I'll be trimming down my portfolio substantially as far as what I hold, but I'll be stacking up higher into my favorite conviction holds, especially during this time period. And what I'll say is everyone in comments and on Twitter right now is trolling people who say they're buying, right? So whenever that starts to happen, it's probably a good sign that you're buying. And that's what I'm going to say. When the herd starts trolling you for buying altcoins or buying whatever, I'm not going to tell you what to, get into or not. Like, that's totally up to you. Do your own research as always. But at the same time, like, when people start saying you're an absolute idiot for buying in these conditions, that is the perfect time period to say, okay, I'm doing the right thing. Smart investors buy the blood. That's just what it is, right? So that's what I'm doing in the market. I know it's a little bit of a rant, but I think it's good to just get out there, a lot of thoughts and brain dump what's going on in the market. Like, why did Bitcoin come to a halt? What has changed in the 4-year cycle, as we talked about earlier in the video? Are altcoins ever going to have an alt season again? 2021 versus 2024. What could an alt season look like? I think way more like late 2024 than anything else. But moving forward, you should really, really look at your altcoin portfolio and cut out the fat, because I can guarantee you there's way more fat than there is quality, just because of how crypto operates at this point in time and the massive issues we have with VCs and just the way that projects operate this time around. People see so much money on the table in crypto to come build here, build a project, some AI slop or, whatever the case is. Let's just say they're AI startup founders that didn't succeed in Web 2, but they see Web 3 as this golden egg. We can raise $15 million for our ChatGPT clone over here and absolutely crush it. But not because we're delivering value to our investors, but because we can just pocket most of the money, and that's a success, right? We got rich. That's what a lot of these projects have done over the course of the last 18 months at this point in time. Crypto gaming, that's what they've done in the last 3.5 years, like one of the most frustrating narratives in the whole space. So I think it's good to just get on here and have more of a candid conversation. It's not all daisies and rainbows and sunshine out there, obviously right now in these market conditions, but even behind the scenes and just some of the conversations, the teams that I've met with over the course of time and just how they move, It really does. It's just a problem for the broader crypto space, which means you need to cut down your conviction plays to things that are super transparent, that are here, have a real business, make real revenue, are sustainable, etc., have a community, have hype on the timeline, and really are in niches that are going to survive the test of time. And on top of that, please, I implore you, like, there's a reason the background's orange today. Buy Bitcoin. So many people rely on altcoins to take them to Valhalla, when Bitcoin's the one thing that can guarantee to take you to Valhalla. And look, it's so frustrating that when you say this type of advice, people think it's so stupid. Why would you talk about Bitcoin? We don't care about Bitcoin. You should care about Bitcoin, okay? And while, yes, we are more an altcoin channel, you need to have Bitcoin in your portfolio. I think you have to set the standard that that's an essential, especially seeing what we've seen throughout the course of 2025. So that's my brain dump thoughts on the market right now. I do think heading into 2026, we are going to see much better market conditions, especially if that stimulus check actually comes through. We love when the government prints money and people have a ton of money to degen. That free money, people risk it. They go to the casino, they put it in the stock market, they put it in Dogecoin, whatever the case is. Whatever it is, it's going to be beneficial for crypto if that does happen. So definitely a catalyst to look forward to in 2026. And look, this market's frustrating, but there are ways to make it out. Set a strategy, be diligent on that. And I would say do not quit crypto. So like the video down below, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys on the next one. As always, play well, my friends. Trade responsibly. Peace.